Welcome to the Northeast Kingdom Voice. I'm your host, Scott Wheeler. Today's guest is Darcie McCann, the Executive Director of the Northeast Kingdom Chamber of Commerce. She's here today to talk about what her organization is up to. Welcome to the show, Darcie.
Hey, good to see you. Thank you for coming to our recent business celebration.
Oh, that was a ball. I've got to get down here more often because it's amazing how many people turn out for that.
Yeah, we have anywhere from 150, 200 people at that event every single year.
And I think even this year you had a snowstorm.
Yeah.
And people still, some people didn't make it, but
We're people from the Northeast Kingdom. We know snow.
I think I was honored. I think I was one of the speakers because the Journal's been in business for 15 years.
That's a big deal.
I look back on that and I think, really, 15 years, what a ride it's been.
Yeah, and when we were talking beforehand of just you asking me questions and I have questions for you, it's just, how did you start that?
How did I start it? It was
you were working at the hospital.
Well, actually, it predates that kind of. I was working at the Chronicle. And during my downtime, when there was no news, I would write history. And so one thing led to another, and I was awarded a New England Press Association Award for Excellence in History Writing for a series I did on Prohibition, which turned into my Rum Runners and Revenuers book. And then I said, hey, something's going on here. Mm-hmm. So then I did go working for the hospital. I went over, as they call it, to the dark side in the newspaper world. In the newspaper world, doing PR is called going to the dark side.
Been there. I'm a newspaper person too.
Right.
Yeah,
and
we both have that background.
So I worked in the dark side for 11 years, but when I worked at the hospital, I also formulated, I did really come up with the Journal, and it's been just went from a hobby to a 50-state phenomena. I'm in the wrong business to get rich. I'd be heading up a chamber of commerce.
You and me both.
I'd be heading up the chamber if I wanted to get rich.
Yeah.
Because you've been there forever.
Yes, I have been.
So were you?
My kids were toddlers.
Were you there in 1949 when
a couple of years
Aiken...
afterwards. So this is the way it's going to go. You're going to actually been there for 23 years.
Right.
Now, I don't know if this is an achievement or absolutely frightening. The longest serving chamber director in the state now.
I was going to ask you that.
I did. You had hair when I first met you, and I didn't have any white hair.
Oh, that's
that's a long time.
You know what? Here's the secret: is I would have white too. But I agree. I told my wife, I will go.
Use that gentleman's.
Yes, I do. Yeah, because I told my wife.
Well, they say it makes you look more distinguished.
No, I'd be white.
Yeah.
So I decided. I told my wife, I will go bald because I have no choice, but I have a choice about going.
I think it'd be a good look for you.
So what is it down your way though? Because you also have Paul Bengston. He must be making history himself. I'm not sure if
he's leaving at the end of this year.
How many years has he been the CEO of the?
1986. It's phenomenal.
As I said,
no one stays at hospitals that long. He's considered one of the top healthcare leaders for rural areas, just in general for the whole entire United States.
Well, if he retires from there, North Country Hospital our CEO is leaving.
I just heard that for Rutland.
Right, and
they're one of our chamber members too.
And so Paul could come up here and try to pick up the pieces and start a whole new career.
I think he maybe want to retire.
Yeah, what? I don't. I was told
we don't have an option for that, do we?
I was told
we're like Supreme Court justices.
I was told by one of the
forever.
people underneath him because I suggested he come on my show, and they didn't think Paul would because he's not very. I guess he's kind of humble and not, very.
He's a really good guy, extremely intelligent, and what's really unique about Paul Bengston is that he's got an incredible commitment to the area. He comes from the Midwest. But additionally, he really looks at healthcare being an economic driver and how they, as the hospital, can go into the community and into the region and make it better. Not just for healthcare, but just right across the board. He's on our Economic Development Committee, and he's been one of our driving people for looking at initiatives within the Northeast Kingdom that don't make sense on the statewide level, that are unfair to this region. And, you know, you don't expect to see a hospital CEO talking about taxation issues and economic drivers along the Connecticut River and the Littleton factor with all the Walmarts and Lowe's and everything over on the other side and the sales tax. But he really is. He's really sharp.
As I said as I told him at your annual meeting, I said, I decided, because I go down to St. Johnsbury, I go wherever I need to for my medical care. And so I decided when I went for my colon screen, I said, I'm going to go to St. Johnsbury. And I said, just everybody knows me up here.
And it's funny because I go to North Country Hospital for a lot of mine.
Yeah, and I just think that's
mix and match.
Yeah, I think that's the way it is. And I said, I walked in there and Orleans County was sitting in the room. So I said, you must be doing something right. But I think that's the thing about healthcare is rural healthcare. I know a lot of people, I know even a lot of employees at North Country who go elsewhere just because they don't want their colleagues poking and prodding them and then sitting down over a coffee.
I don't think they do that. I don't. But I think sometimes they'll go because they just feel shy about their medical condition.
Well, that's basically what I'm saying. Is, all right, now on to you and your business. What does the Chamber do?
That is something we could take up for a whole show, but essentially we do marketing and promotion for business and for the region. A lot of marketing promotion, economic initiatives, looking at those and how we can better strengthen and make the area succeed. And then we really do a lot of work with just helping our members grow, looking at programs that can assist them and support them. So we're looking at getting back in healthcare, for instance, insurance, or dental, vision, supplemental, phone plans, staples plans, everything. So we save money on one end and we promote them and strengthen them to make more money at the other end.
So how come the Northeast Kingdom Chamber seems to be thriving, but I know other chambers, even around the country, are struggling with membership. What's different with the
Well, I'm not going to lie. The recession was really hard on every single chamber,
right,
including us. And we weren't hearing people saying, oh, you're doing a terrible job, in as much as we're broke. We have no money. A lot of people had 3 to 4 years that they held on and held on. I literally have a whole file cabinet of businesses from East Reigate up to the Canadian border that went out of business as members during that time. But I think what we've tried to do is a regional chamber. We've got members up here in Newport right down to East Reigate, and Craftsbury, Greensboro, right to Lunenburg, is to look at some of the economic and social drivers within this region and try to better them. We don't know all the answers ourselves, Scott, but we try to get the people together that can answer them.
Yeah, but you're certainly doing something right, and I know a lot of people attribute it to you, but I'm sure you also have a good staff. And
I have an amazing staff.
Right.
It's not just me.
Right.
I have an incredible board and have had incredible boards for 23 years. I have a staff member now. I don't think she'd be too upset if I said it. She just turned 40, but she's been there for 20 years. And she's really grown with this job, and she's absolutely phenomenal. So I think one of the aspects that we try to do at the Chamber is to be one of the most progressive and innovative chambers in the state, but also offer that personal touch. We will never, ever answer our phones, hi, you reached the Northeast Kingdom Chamber of Commerce. If you want to talk to so-and-so, press 1. We will never do that, at least while I'm there. That personal touch, that hand-holding, that helping people every step of the way is really an important aspect in what we do.
I know we've talked that I would like to see more of a presence up on this, up in this neck of the woods, because currently, as we both know, Newport is kind of like restructured.
They're going through a tough stretch.
They're to me, and I know not everybody would agree, and maybe you don't even. it seems like the two, is Newport considered a regional one, such as you had the chambers?
Yeah, I would say yes.
Seems like, I know there was talk.
We're the largest, but yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, it'd be kind of nice if the two of you could just join up, link up.
We did have that conversation a number of years ago, as you know. Gary Kellogg led it.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be kind of nice if eventually that could happen, because I think you and your people have so much to offer our region, because contrary to what a lot of people think, there's a lot of positive things going on in the kingdom.
Yeah, and frankly, visitors and even residents really don't see borders. There's the infamous Sheffield Heights kind of barrier, but we're all one, and we share more than we're different. And I think one of the aspects that there's been a lot of history long before me about the Northeast Kingdom, and even the Northeast Kingdom Chamber name. But the thing about it is, if people want us up here more, we'll be up there more. We don't want to take away from the local chamber downtown group, but we want to feel like they trust it, that it's their idea. We're not going to come in up and down the streets of Newport and Derby and try to grab every single business that there is. I'm a Northeast Kingdom native, as you know. I've lived here most of my life. I came back here, made a choice to come back here. I love this region like you do, and I just wanted to see it succeed and thrive. I'm not looking for world domination or power. I love my area, and I want it to be successful.
I get a bit confused because there's so many groups now. The chambers have been around for a long time.
Hundreds of years.
But then there's other groups, and I can't always figure out which group is which group does what, and seems to me a lot of times they overlap each other. And I think sometimes now that people just kind of like throw their hands up and...
Yeah, I think in some cases there's designed to be a little bit of overlap. But the most important element is whether they complement and are not competitive with each other. And I think that's really important. An organization like myself, when someone calls in and they're looking for funding for a particular building or something that they're doing for a business, we don't take every single phone call comes in, refer them out to the organizations that should be handling it. And I think that's kind of really of a role of a chamber too, is to be that go-between between all these organizations. To me, it's not confusing because I know them all and what they do and how we complement and overlap each other. But I can understand for people out there it is confusing.
Right. Well, I kind of do the same thing as I actually, because of my web presence, I actually get a lot of media contacted by the media a lot from around the world, and a lot of times they're not looking to talk
regional
to
historian,
right? But they're not always looking to talk to me. What they're doing, they'll say, "Okay, this is the type of person we're looking for," and although I might make the TV and the news quite a bit, or TV, radio, that's only a fraction of the number of contacts that I get, because somebody like more than once, Norm Lewis, aka Danny Gore,
loved him. He went to school with my mom.
He was the goodwill ambassador to the Northeast Kingdom. And I would direct, if somebody was looking for, I would direct people to him, or I would direct. I would...
He had one of the best Northeast Kingdom accents. I don't know about you, and here's something controversial. I cringe when I hear the lager. Oh,
yeah, we're on the same page.
Oh my God.
No,
I don't even know what the hell that is. I'm probably going to get in trouble here, but that's not a Northeast Kingdom accent.
The other thing is, Vermont humor is often not... It's not slapstick. Sometimes you're even going down the road and then all of a sudden it hits you.
Yeah.
Oh, I get it. It's
dry.
It's a dry sense. It's a dry sense of humor.
Right.
It's not that.
It's not obvious.
Right. And you know, my take on it is, if you have to resort constantly to profanity, profanity is a bad excuse for a lot of things, and for humor.
Yeah.
You know, Danny will, well, Norm, you know what, Norm used to always tell me that he always has to stay home because Danny gets invited everywhere.
Yeah.
And, you know, just his alter ego.
Yeah.
And, but Norm used to tell me there was different chapters of his life where he even got into some issues that now he's past now, where he cringed that he actually walked in that area. But he truly was a class act. And,
yeah, he really truly was.
And yeah.
And a very good educator.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't realize he was
Yeah.
superintendent of schools.
Right.
I remember Vince Aluzzi, former Senator Vince Aluzzi, used to bring him down on April Fool's Day every year,
Mm-hmm.
and the newer legislators, they wouldn't tell the story on who, so he would go in, and these new legislators didn't realize that this guy was a comedian, and he would go in and he'd be lobbying for either the single-lipped sucker or the
yeah.
egg-laying woodchuck, and
Yeah.
they're sitting there thinking, okay, what's this about? But you know, that gets on to, you know, we do have interesting people here.
Yeah, we
and,
do.
And I bet you even know something. Like, there's actually some notable people who were born and raised here or who are living here now, and I think oftentimes we don't. Well, especially the people born and raised here, we don't celebrate our successes very well. You know, we have some very successful people who were born and raised here. Some of them are still here.
Right.
Others of them have gone out and done great things in this world.
And I think one of the reasons people love the Northeast Kingdom, so some of these people you're talking about, is they can be themselves.
Yeah. Well,
There are many times, I mean, I've been asked, especially when, about Reeve Lindbergh.
Yeah.
And they're
And she
lying
lives down your way.
Yeah,
That's
and
Charles Lindbergh's
yeah.
daughter.
One of the most humble people you'll ever meet. And I've heard this a number of times. Anybody who's famous, good luck trying to find their address. The locals won't give it to them. They may very well know where they live, but it's just they'll send them out of town.
Yeah.
It's just, no, you're
But-
one of us.
Yeah.
We're going to protect you.
And well, it's just like down your way. I don't know if he still lives there. Luis Guzman.
Yeah.
Very distinguished looking person, and I think he just
Tanchi Cardinal was living in our region for a while.
And up this
Some
way,
pictures.
Donald Sutherland is a
Yeah.
popular figure.
Up on the lake, yeah.
And I think the people. I think that is one thing it's said about you can say about the area is, I think you can pretty much be who you are as long as you just
Yeah.
live. It's a live and let live. It's a live and let live area. So
Yeah, I think, I see it a lot that, people refer to this area it's kind of like their childhood, or the childhood they'd like it to be. And, well, that may not resonate with people like us or residents who live here. I've lived in cities. I lived in San Diego and Minneapolis for a bit, and I lived in Boston for a while. And you live in some of those places and you spend half your life on the damn roads, and the people don't talk to you, and you go to this place where the landscape is spectacular. You can go out on a lake and your kids can be safe. You don't have to look at them every 2 seconds that something's going to happen to them like you do in the cities. It really is an escape for a lot of people coming up here.
But I think one thing it isn't for everybody. That's the thing is like when I worked at the hospital, and I think your hospital is probably the same thing. It is to bring people here. It's not an easy sell for some people because we enjoy the beauty, we enjoy the peace and quiet, but there's other people that the Northeast Kingdom drives them bonkers because not everybody's geared that way. so that, trying to bring professionals here hasn't always been easy, just because you've got to find the right fit. And I'm sure your hospital, I'm sure they have the same experience.
Yeah, I think they do. It does take a different kind of person, but I think as the world gets weirder, this place becomes more of an escape. And if you're able to be independent and, and it really a self-starter, right, and be able to do things by yourself and not want to be entertained all the time,
right,
you can do anything here.
Yeah. No, I think, it's like, I was born and raised in Newport, but I live in Derby, and I hear people talk about how they talk so disparagingly of Newport. I look at Newport, the building's down, but I look at it as a potential. Now, something will go there. Overall,
there are unbelievable opportunities, right, for Newport. There really are.
Newport, like, if you want it, like, I go through towns in northern Maine that I look, and if I were a developer, I wouldn't know where to begin, because they're old logging towns, and logging has moved away. I wouldn't have a clue how to develop that town. You look at Newport, and there's so much potential. No, it's not going to be what it was, but here's the truth. Most of what we think about, when we get old like us, we start looking back, we have a tendency to kind of romanticize things. Like, it's like people talk about the good old days. I said, oh, you mean the good old days when you stepped on a rusty nail and it might be a death sentence? You mean that kind of stuff? Is the good old days is really today, and it's what you make of it. Well,
true, and by saying that, you're not allowing for what it could be.
Right, and that's it.
Because just the lake itself is just an incredible treasure.
Right,
and there's wonderful people up here, and there's a lot of commitment to this region, and you've got some very good people up here that can. I've got a brother and a sister-in-law, both city planners, so they kind of get into your head of the potential of what things can be. And 10, 15 years, Newport could be an entirely different and successful city, but still keep a lot of what makes it special.
All three of my kids have moved away. One has returned, not quite to the Northeast Kingdom. She lives in the suburbs of the kingdom, down in Lamoille County.
Yeah.
But they all can see, them going away, including my daughter Emily, who lives back in Vermont. She lived in Australia for 6 months. They all see Newport a little bit different than, say, people who've been here all the time, or they're here 24/7, and they see shortcomings. Like, Newport's Main Street is so short. That's a struggle, they say.
Yeah.
But I don't see the doom and gloom everybody else sees. I'm going to tell you.
I agree with you.
Have you been to the Thai restaurant up here?
Not yet.
You're coming up someday.
Yeah.
And I'm bringing you out because it's an outstanding experience.
I love that.
Exie makes Thai second to none. I have a friend who his wife is a Thai cook. They come up from Burlington to eat here because it's just so good.
As you know, my husband was a chef, so
I would,
that's right. That's
true.
I'd really like that.
And so when you're up here next, they're just out. Exie is just an amazing person. She, even though she's been in this country such a short period of time, Exie knows the people.
Yeah.
She knows customer service, and she's right on Main Street.
And that brings up a really good point. Exie is doing this by herself. She's doing it with the support of others who are patronizing her restaurant and supporting the restaurant. But we can't depend on just a couple individuals to do this. We've all got to come together. I think sometimes people say, what you ought to do? You know what you ought to do as the chamber, or, you, Scott, we've all got to get together, not just have it be, as I said, a couple people. Right. We've got to come together as a region more. It can't be just a couple.
And the thing is you've got to get, like, I don't know how to say it. A lot of times the doers are too busy doing now. to actually, it's like Dina Gray,
Yeah.
another fine eatery. That woman is go, 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 and so she doesn't have time to go, to actively get involved in, even though she's very community oriented in her
Right.
own way. But the one thing about I've got to admit, I have one weakness. I have many weaknesses. I've been married 33 years. My wife will tell you.
That's
I
not a
have many-
weakness.
No, she'll tell you I have many weaknesses. But after serving in legislature and going to a zillion meetings, going to meetings now is so tough.
Yeah,
And
I hear you.
But
But many hands make less work, and we do things down in our area, and I know it's the same thing up here. Some of the most popular events up here that thousands of people attend are usually organized by a couple people, and they're getting burned out.
No, that's it.
We've all got to help.
And but then you talk about events, and we're almost done. Is you look at some of the successes. You take Island Pond. Island Pond is this beautiful little village out in the middle of the Northeast Kingdom.
Right.
That's rural. They host these spectacular events now. There's really some
Friday night series, right?
And throughout the year they have different things, and there's a lot of positive. I'm going to tell you this. The one thing I bet you can understand. It's so difficult to get the word out about anything because, like, Newport had their fireworks here recently.
Yeah.
And people are all over social media. Well, how come they didn't tell us? Da-da-da-da-da-da. It was everywhere, but here's the problem is, it used to be you only had the newspaper and one or two newspapers and then a radio station.
Right.
And so that's where you got everything. Well, now if you're under 40, you probably don't pick up a newspaper. And it's like trying to figure out how to promote your business or event is so tough. Like, I once had a person say, well, how come I was hosting a veterans event? Well, how come I didn't know about it? Well, I had it on the newspaper. Well, I don't pick up a newspaper. Well, I had it on the radio. Well, I don't listen to the radio and social media. Well, I don't do. I said, so what would I have to do? Knock on your door?
Mm-hmm.
And are you finding it more difficult to get the word out about?
Well, you have to go different mediums, that's for sure. You do have to do the newspaper, radio, Facebook, redo mailings,
Right.
email, newsletters. So instead of doing, as you said, 2 to 3 things, you're now doing 6 or 7.
But I'm just finding that I'm hearing more and more that people say, well, we didn't know it.
Yeah.
And
Well, they bear a responsibility too.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
And that's it. Okay, we only have a couple more minutes left, believe it or not.
I'd love to talk about the online business resource guide
Okay.
really quickly.
Yeah.
NEKchamber.com, we have, I think, the best online business resource guide to start a business, to grow a business, to relocate a business, to employer resource guide, and also to, if you're selling a business, and business succession
So
planning.
what's the address?
NEKchamber.com, and it's right on the front. They're actually, we've talked with a couple state people, and they're using that as a guide for theirs, that they're acknowledging it's one of the best in the state. We took about 12 different places, all these different places that mention what it is to start a business or to relocate a business, whatnot, and put them all on one. And as I said, before you'd have to go here, 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 and here. Now it's all in one. And it's also on a step-by-step. So if you're starting a business and you really don't know what to do, you go step 1 right down to about step 15. If you have run another business and you just need to know some of the things, and you can get employee identification, you can get the IRS stuff, you can get the employer stuff, you can pick and choose what you need. And so far, we've been doing it for about a year. It's been extremely successful. And that's something, as well as our regional guide, that has information on all over the kingdom. We've got a bio on every single
Right.
town, all the libraries, all the post offices.
And yours, I find
everything.
your website is very user-friendly, because I hate to say it, I've even been to chamber sites, and I've been, of course, maybe I'm not technological enough, but when I go to a site, I want to be able to find my way around.
Right.
I've even been to chamber sites where they were confusing, but I thought yours is very well built.
We really look at consumers and the ease of getting around and not having too many clicks, and we're always changing it too. So, yeah, we've worked really hard on that.
And I'll speak as a member, a long-term member.
Yeah, you are.
Is, I think you're very attentive to the business people's needs. As I said, I'd love to see more people from up Newport, Derby area, down at the events, and, maybe if you can get enough people, enough interest, maybe sometime you can, without stepping on any toes, come on up this way and host something.
Yeah, I'd love to do that with some of the chambers up here too.
Yeah, maybe co-host with.
I'd love to do a business celebration up here.
Right, because I contrary to what I've said it before, I think we focus not only here but just in the world in general on way too much of the negative. And
Sheffield Heights is not the Mason-Dixon line.
Right. Well,
we're the all Northeast Kingdom, and I know, as I said, we're more alike than we're different. We really, truly are. There are different areas within our region. I know that most certainly, but we all believe in this region, and we all love it. And yeah, we can do this.
We still live in a pretty good. We still do live in a pretty good place. It's like, for example, one day I was broken down, and I weren't really broken down. My car just weren't agreeing with me at the moment, but I knew what was going on. I had my hood up, and I had so many people stop, say, "Hey, can I help you?" No, I'm all set. And like, I don't know if that would necessarily be the case every other place, because. We live in different times. We read the news and we see these bad things happen, and I don't even pick up hitchhikers like I used to. So, but we're still pretty, we're still a pretty decent group of people. What I say is we like to play together, we like to work together, and occasionally we like to even slap each other upside the head. In other words, fight together.
Right.
But when push comes to shove, people usually come around. Like, I know you even experienced at the tragic loss of your husband. I remember you even writing just...
You were amazing, by the way, the support you showed in that. I really, as a friend, I really appreciated that.
Well,
it meant a lot to me.
You know what is, I've never lost a spouse, and my sympathies. I've lost a parent, but I tell my wife I want to die the day before her.
Yeah.
So
it's been tough, and my work has helped out a lot. I believe in it, but boy, you nailed the nail on the head when you said he's always just been my biggest support, my best friend, my soulmate. So it's been tough, but you also got to put one foot in front of the other.
Yeah,
and that's our way.
Well, you've done a spectacular job with the Northeast Kingdom Chamber, as I said.
Thank you. It's definitely a team effort, and you've done a wonderful and a spectacular job with the journal. It's been amazing.
I think you're probably like me, though. Don't you get out of bed and don't you love going to work?
I do. I mean, I have a book when in the supermarket or something, writing down what people need. I've got the app on my phone. I'm typing in notes and putting in notes of what people need. If you do the jobs that we do, you live and breathe it. It's a calling. It's not about the money. So yeah, I do love my job. It's
like people think I'm joking when I say this. I love going to nursing homes. A lot of people. I wish we didn't need nursing homes. Yeah. I wish in the ideal world, but we do.
You preserve their stories,
right.
And how huge is that?
And do you know most people, do you know how one way I tell if somebody has a story to tell? A lot of times they'll say, well, I don't really have a story. Then I say, well, that's a story.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people who jump up and down in life, if they jump up and down trying to attract attention, a lot of times they don't really have that much of a story to tell. It's usually the people who are just quietly sitting back. Then I've probably even written about people that you may have known, but you had no idea about the lives they've lived.
Well, you know, the interesting element of what you're able to do, and this is from me doing thousands of interviews as a newspaper reporter and editor, and even at the chamber, I'm always talking with people, of tens and tens of thousands of people. You're able to get both men and women to open up.
Yep.
And that is a really big skill.
Yeah, and, I can.
The older men and women are in completely different
All right, I'm going to tell you,
individuals.
I will tell you one thing, is women are a bit harder because they don't
Right.
understand the roles they played were so as significant or more than the men. It's like a woman veteran may have just been driving trucks stateside. She doesn't view her role as important like the person storming the beaches of
Right.
Normandy. And so she often doesn't even acknowledge she was a veteran. So,
Right.
okay.
Well, keep on doing the good work that you
And
do.
I will close this by saying, in working with men and women, you do know who the strongest sex is.
I'm
Women,
not going there.
by
Not
far.
going there.
Women are the strongest sex, no matter what. The men can have all the bluster. Women are by far the strongest sex. If
Okay.
men,
Here we go.
if men,
Is this the first
if
arm
men-
wrestling on NEK Voice?
if men were going to had to have babies, we'd go extinct. So, okay.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how, I can't follow that, but I've really enjoyed being up here. I always love hearing from you, and I just really admire the work that you do.
All right, thank you, and thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
And thank you to the viewers for tuning in to another segment of the Northeast Kingdom Voice.